Today we'll show you how to make an output connector, and in this case an XT60 connector for the Kobalt 24V Power Tool battery. This is going to be the easiest, the fastest, and the cheapest one to make for me so far. Let's get started. So these are the two connectors I made previously. This one here made from silicone mold and polyurethane two-part epoxy. But this one takes a very long time to make. Once I've got the mold made, it's a little bit faster and easier for me to make these, but still, I still need to buy the polyurethane, and also it needs to have 24 hours before it can cure. This one here is a little bit easier to make. It takes me less than an hour to make, but the problem with this is that it costs $25. And if you need to make a lot of these, it's not very sustainable. And previously, I made a connector for my 40 volts battery, and it is very simple and easy to make, and it doesn't cost much at all. So this time I'm going to use the same method to make this connector, but for my 24 volts. So first thing I gotta do is to take a piece of paper and trace out the outline of the top of the battery. So just take my pencil and go over it like this until I see the outline of the battery. Then I'm going to cut it out. I've got my piece of wood here. I'm going to put this piece of paper on here and trace out where I want to cut. That's what it looks like. And that's the part I'm going to cut, including the 3 slots. So here's my piece of wood. I use a jigsaw to cut out the slots so that I can slide my metal clips in like so. The screw I'm using is a countersunk screw. That way when I mount onto the wood surface, it will be flush with the surface so it doesn't stick out. And here is the size of the screw I got from Lowe's. So here we go. I got the holes drilled. Countersunk some holes on the bottom. Let's put this together. So here it is. That's beautiful. For the previous connectors that I made, I only made 2 wires coming out of the connector. For this one, I made 3 wires. The extra wire is in the middle. As you can see, it is smaller than the other 2 wires. That's because this is the communication wire. It's not a current carrying wire. And that's why I only use a smaller wire. On a Kobalt tool, it has 3 connectors. But basically, it only needs 2 connectors to run the tool. The third connector in the middle is just for communication. So when you connect the tool to the battery, the third connector in the middle is to make sure that it is the original Kobalt battery and not an aftermarket battery. So this is for preventing the users to use other batteries other than the Kobalt battery to use the tool. So for this connector, I made the middle wire just in case I need to connect the battery to the tool or the battery to the charger. But if you only need to run 24 volts on other things like electric vehicles, then you only need 2 wires. Now let's try and connect it to my battery here to see if it fits. Just gonna slide it right in, just like that. The only problem now is that this is a little bit loose. There's nothing here to keep this in place. So to secure the connector in place, I'm going to use a credit card. I cut it in half, double it up so that it will be thicker. Put on top here, and then I'm going to mount it right on top. Then I'm going to heat it up, wrap it around, and so that it will grab onto the gravis here. So here we go. Now I'm going to use my heat gun to heat up this piece of plastic and bend it around so it can wrap around the battery. Should be hot enough now. Use my screwdriver, push it in a little bit more. So here it is. The bottom part here looks exactly like the bottom part of my tool. So that when I put this connector on the battery, this part here, they're gonna lock onto the latch of the battery and lock in place. Now let's try and push it in. Just like that. Now this curve here on the bottom, grab onto the rail of the battery and prevent the connector from sliding upward. You can see it's hold on pretty tight. And then there's a curve here. This curve will lock onto the latch of the battery. See the black part there? And prevent the connector from sliding forward, so it holds on pretty tight. I also put some heat shrink tubing on the top of the nut to prevent them from touching and shorting out. I also make an XT60 connector, so now it's good to go. So there you have it. You can make this very cheap and very quickly. The material cost for me is only about $1 and scraps that I have laying around, versus this one will cost me $25 plus 1 hour of work. This one here costs about $5 of material plus 24 hours of work. This one takes me about 20 minutes to make and cost me almost nothing. So this is going to be my connector of choice from now on. And that's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Here's the new connector with the new XT 4 amp hour battery pack. Go!